On today's episode, we talk Disney World attractions March Madness style. Welcome to the 18th episode of the Mouse Bros podcast. Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm his brother Randy. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at the Mouse Bros. We will be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure you subscribe to get the latest podcast. If you have any suggestions for upcoming shows or just want to say hi, you can email us at mousecabrospodcast@gmail.com.
If you're planning your next Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Universal Orlando vacation, you're going to want to reach out to me, Ryan Noppinger, with Capture the Magic Vacations. You can reach me at ryan.noppinger@ctmvagent.com. This is a no-cost to use service to use me as your travel agent. I'll make sure you get the best vacation package or deal for your whole family. I can also help make dining reservations and plan fast passes to make planning your Disney vacation less stressful and more magical.
If you haven't already, please check out our rules episode that explains a little more in depth of how we're going to complete this March Madness bracket. Even though we're 3 episodes in, and if you're following along, you probably already know what's going on. But we pre-selected 64 teams that are Disney World attractions, and we'll talk about each of them and basically pick a winner of each match until we're left with one, which is our champion. On today's episode, we cover round 3 and the quarterfinals, bringing our total of 16 attractions down to the final 4. Our next episode will be the semifinals and finals, which will bring this year's March Madness to a close. So we are definitely coming down the home stretch.
Coming down to brass tacks here.
Yeah.
Is that how you use that phrase?
Yeah, I've never used it or heard it. There's definitely no clear winners yet. There's no one really kind of sprinting ahead, taking the lead.
Or maybe there is. Maybe you're at home thinking you're rooting for one of these attractions to be the champion.
Everyone has their opinion, but they're wrong. Wow.
Only our opinion, Matt? No, we're kidding. We just lost 10 listeners. Just kidding. We only have 5 listeners, so we can't lose 10. If you want to move right on to this bracket, let's move on to the first matchup. Yeah. So the first matchup we have in round 3, Soarin' Around the World and Mickey's PhilharMagic. Interesting
matchup. They're both very show-oriented. Because, Soarin' Around the World isn't a show, but, at the same time, it is. You're kind of gliding through air.
You're both watching a movie screen.
Right.
In a sense.
But Soarin' Around the World, there's definitely that movement factor, which kind of puts it a step above.
Yeah.
And you get the air in your face, and then, the smells. I think the first time anyone does the smells, when you go over the orange trees and you get that citrus smell.
Yeah, or the savannah with the grass smell.
Yeah, and it just, yeah.
And my allergies immediately I just break out.
Break out in hives, sneezing,
yeah.
just coughing on the people next to you, think you're dying.
Anyway.
But at the same time, smells, Mickey's PhilharMagic does have that smell aspect in the Beauty and the Beast scene when they're kind of going through all the dishes and you start smelling the food a little bit.
The pie.
Right.
It's
I think.
I
don't know.
It's a pie.
And then you burn it.
Yeah. I don't know why we did the sound. That's the exact sound.
That's what happens in your oven when you burn a pie. It's just going, and then it burns.
I burnt the pie. Darn. That's how you know. We're not a cooking podcast. We're back to Disney podcast.
Yeah, right.
I think a clear winner
for
in my book is definitely going to be Soarin' Around the World.
See, I like Mickey's PhilharMagic because it has more. It has more effects because you have the air effect when you're in the Aladdin scene, and you also have the water effect when you are in Ariel, Little Mermaid.
Yeah, to me overall, 3D is 3D.
Right.
Whether I see it in seeing Mickey PhilharMagic or Muppets,
another 3D movie.
Another 3D
Insert
movie.
3D movie here.
Insert. It's I don't know. Again, I can get 3D on go to Best Buy and buy a TV with 3D on it. Now with the effects, but is a different thing.
I can get like a spray bottle and just like spray.
I mean, for me, like you see Mickey's PhilharMagic once, and the second time, if you see it, you're getting out of the heat or taking a nap or whatever.
Yes.
Soaring Around the World, I mean, you go to experience something each and every time, even though if you've ridden it 8 times.
Yeah, no,
the 9th time is still... Sorry. Whoa, sorry to cut you off.
No, sorry. But I thought you were done.
No, it wasn't.
I definitely agree with that. I think, looking at it, which one would you rather wait for? Right? If there's like a 5-minute wait for Mickey's PhilharMagic...
Which it says on the thing all the time, and it's the 5-minute walk to the theater.
Right. But if it's a 15-minute wait with Mickey's PhilharMagic, you're like, it's kind of long. But with Soaring Around the World, if you don't have a fast pass, you're like, hey, it's only 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You're like, oh my God, that's so short. I'm definitely gonna go wait in that line. So I'll give it to you. So Soaring Around the World beats this. So something new that we'll do this episode, right? If you kind of like this idea, kind of talk about like the loser of the match, because I mean, since we're in round 3, kind of talk about the previous match.
Where it's come from,
Yeah, it started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Well, so it started from the bottom, and now it's not going to go any further.
Well, it started from the middle, so
that's true. So Mickey's PhilharMagic in round 1 was up against Mission Space. Interesting, I think the deciding factor there was that Mission Space it's very
jerky.
Yeah,
it's not something that everybody can do.
Yeah, it's either you like it or you don't like it,
right?
Or you pass out.
Dad.
Dad, sorry. And then, so it moved on from round 1 to round 2. In round 2, it went up against It's a Small World.
And I think there is probably rewritability. Which one would you rather do twice?
Yeah.
Only if we remember what we said about each.
Only if we could.
We're making it up.
Only if there was a way we could go back.
You'd hear what we said.
Well, anyway, it won against It's a Small World. I kind of feel bad that It's a Small World lost. I mean, I know it's a very, very classic attraction.
If I had to do the match over, I think I would still pick Mickey's PhilharMagic.
Really? Maybe I can't remember. Maybe I was at It's a Small World. If not, I would have changed my mind.
It might have been a tiebreaker. Who knows?
And a tiebreaker.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't do research.
Somebody let us know.
Yeah, continue the conversation on Facebook and just be like, they don't even know what they're talking about.
We don't even do the Disney. We very much do the Disney.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup. Splash Mountain versus Dumbo the Flying Elephant. 2 very similar rides. I don't want to, at first I thought of unique, but really thinking about it, they're not. I mean, Dumbo is just a spinning ride that they have at almost any carnival amusement park. And then Splash Mountain is just a log flume ride. It's a water ride. And again, most amusement parks, Six Flags, Universal, have some sort of log flume water ride. Yeah, it's definitely, the word that we're going to add to the definition book. It's called a dictionary, but that's fine. It's fine.
Anyway.
Is the word Disneyfied. I mean, it is a log flume that has been Disneyfied. It took a movie and kind of placed it into a ride. There was a
Song of the South.
Song of the South. I was singing Home on the Range, but I knew that wasn't it. Yeah, and made it into a ride. You got music, characters. So it's definitely, and you feel like you're in the story, kind of going through the story with the characters.
Right.
So,
for me, I mean, out of all of the lift up and down rides that you can do, and at Walt Disney World as a whole, Dumbo the Flying Elephant is definitely one that sticks out among the rest.
Absolutely.
That's probably the one I would pick over all of them in Walt Disney World.
I completely agree. I don't think anyone is going to disagree with that statement.
They could.
I think anyone who's anybody, I don't know what that means, but I think anyone is kind of agreeing with like, oh yeah, out of the twirly rides that go up and down, Dumbo is definitely
the twirly rides.
Hey, I'm trying to not say the same words you say.
We have to get like an official description of what a lift ride that you have a controller that moves you up and down vertically.
And it has like a name, like it's just like I don't know. I can't even think of something.
No, me neither. But anywho, No, in this case, for me, between the two, I mean, it's definitely going to go down to more of a thrill. I think, I mean, of course, rewritability. I think they both have that. I'd almost say probably equal rewritability for it.
Yeah, it's like a ride. Like they're both are rides that are very good rides, but to do them, you have to be like in the mood to do them.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Right, yeah. I mean, if you've done Fantasyland, that's a good way to start off Fantasyland and Fantasyland because it's kind of in the middle, beginning end area location for it, and it's dueling, which is really really cool. But for me in this matchup, Splash Mountain for me is going to have to move on with that thrill factor, with the drops. You get wet and. Yeah, at Splash Mountain for me.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think your biggest point that you made was that it's the best twirly machine ride. There's a better word because they have the Giga Coaster or Log Flume. Like you say the words and everyone knows what you mean. Ryan's like, I don't know what a Giga Coaster is. I only know that from Roller Coaster Tycoon. Shout out.
Maybe they have the ride, the lift,
lift
stick ride. I don't.
So Dumbo's definitely the most unique out of it because it is dueling, and their whole waiting area is like inside the circus, which is cool. I mean, not everyone can do it; only kids can really do it. I mean, you could do it; you would just have to like tackle some people.
This is good. The description on Wikipedia says. Dumbo the Flying Elephant is an aerial carousel style ride. We haven't said that one, but it still doesn't have
kind of what we were saying.
But it still doesn't have like an official name.
Yeah,
like
official name.
An aerial carousel style ride.
That's like a mouthful. I'm going to agree with you because Dumbo the Flying Elephant. It almost goes back to the first matchup. Is the weight factor? If there's any type of weight on Dumbo. We're probably not waiting. The only time we're doing Dumbo is when there's a walk-on, when it says 5 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes if you're there for like an extended period of time, looking for something to do.
And extra magic hours at night.
Exactly.
Let's just get this done while it's here. The only other time I'll ride Dumbo really, well, I mean, there's only two ways to ride Dumbo, is Standby or Fast Pass. But if all of the like major Fast Passes are gone for the day, and there's that one that's like, well, I have time, after lunch or whatever, and it's at like 2:00, Dumbo's available, and I get it. Right then and there. Again, what I like about it too, it could be 2:00, and the Fast Pass for Dumbo could be 2:05. Meaning, even if the standby line is a 5-minute wait, you can get a Fast Pass for right now because there's a 5-minute kind of hold time that you can go in. If the Fast Pass is at 2:05, you can actually scan in at 2:00 because there's that 5-minute, I don't want to call it lead time, but like middle time. That you can scan and get in, and you can just get on right there, and then as soon as you scan in, you can pick another Fast Pass right then and there. That's one trick that I use to not only for Dumbo, but a lot of these attractions that are in the middle, not the awesome attractions.
Right. I think so. Let's just say officially that Splash Mountain kind of wins this round, right? Would you agree?
Yep.
Okay. So Dumbo the Flying Elephant, it first round was against Astro Orbiter, pretty much the same ride, but Dumbo, like we said, is just the most unique out of the aerial carousel style coaster. I think that's what you said. I don't know what you said. It's not. Sorry, that's not. It's like spelled kind of the same.
Aerial.
Yeah, I know. I just pronounced it wrong.
We're gonna get butchered. Well, anyway, but out of all of the aerial carousel style rides at Walt Disney World, I'm never going to call it that again when I'm especially there. Out of them all, Astro Orbiter definitely comes in second.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's second and Dumbo's first.
Absolutely.
And then the second round, it was against the Tiki Enchanted. Wow, I just am not speaking well. Enchanted Tiki Room.
Yeah.
I think if it was the original Dumbo, where it was just one and it was like a regular queue line, not a circus, I almost wonder if it would make it this far. Because I think the thing that stands about it is that it is a dueling, spinny, twisty coaster thing. And
we need to move on.
But like Astro Orbiter is, you got to take an elevator. So I think that would almost put it against Dumbo. But with the new Dumbo and the changes they made to it, I think that's what makes Dumbo kind of just stand out.
Yeah. I wonder if more people will start to ride it, especially now because the movie and kind of a
new
life to it.
Yeah. If they do kind of anything else, maybe change the inside to, I don't know, fit the, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of new Dumbo merchandise, not necessarily, it's because of the movie, but it's not movie necessarily related. It's just a refresh of Dumbo merchandise.
Absolutely.
Which is nice.
Fun facts. All right, so moving on to what we call our second division, because there was only 2 matches. We have the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover versus Avatar Flight of Passage. This is a hard one. This is a hard one.
This is a really, really tough one. I've been dreading talking about this one because
I've been thinking about it.
I know Avatar, absolutely hands down a fantastic attraction. It's new. It's in a new land that's amazing, but the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover that I'm just going to call People Mover from now on.
We say that till next episode. And the next episode would be like the Tomorrowland Transit People Authority Mover.
Well, if it wins.
Maybe. We'll see.
It's the... Gosh, I don't know, but it's like I don't want. If Avatar was on the opposite side of the bracket or anywhere else, People Mover would win. Not that I'm saying I want Flight of Passage to move on right now, but I'm not saying
it's hard because this is the point where a good ride will lose. A very good ride will be going nowhere because they can't move, but we'll lose this match. Like you said, Avatar, the Flight of Passage, the land is unbelievable. Walking in a day and walking in at night feels like you're in 2 different parks. Like you get 2 different experiences. But the ride is the same. You would agree, right? That Flight of Passage, if you ride it during the day and you ride it at night, it is the same ride.
Yes, the ride itself.
Right.
Yes.
Tomorrowland Transit, People Mover is 2 different rides. If you ride it during the day, you get to kind of see the surrounding areas, and get to kind of people watch. But then at night, I feel like you're looking more into Tomorrowland, looking at all of the lights. Then when you get that good shot of the castle and all lit up at night, then you're looking at the castle. So it's definitely 2 different rides during the day and during the night.
Yeah.
I think for me that the People Mover is almost a timeless ride. After what happened in Disneyland, where they got rid of their People Mover and put it, they had rocket rods, which then kind of destroyed the infrastructure, and then they couldn't do anything else with it. Now it just has lights on it for at night. Seeing how much that failed, I feel like they're not gonna touch the People Mover. They're just gonna kind of make it better, do updates. They're never gonna get rid of it because of how unique the ride is. Now, Flight of Passage is also unique. So this is where it's interesting because they're both, if you try to generalize it, they're both very similar. Flight of Passage is a very unique ride because it's so new. The thing is, though, is that technology is now recreatable. Not saying that the People Mover technology isn't, but it's so old that they're not necessarily going to recreate that old technology. They're going to want to recreate the new technology.
Well, it's basic technology. It's magnets that, pull and force the vehicle forward.
Right. But I'm saying they're not going to use that technology now. They're going to want to use the new stuff. They're going to want to use like the trackless rides. Right. They don't want to use something that is like the People Mover where it's all the magnets and you can see all the track and hear all the track.
That's what trackless is.
Yeah, but it looks better than the People Mover.
But it's the same necessarily concept. It's the magnets that move the vehicles.
Right, I understand it.
But it's just they're just underneath another layer of flooring platform.
Yeah, but it's much more unique than just
seamless,
that. Yeah.
Right.
It's seamless and you can you can have two cars on the same track that, depending on which magnets are turned on at which time, then go kind of two different ways.
Yeah.
So, the People Mover can't do that.
No.
People Mover either goes forward or backwards. That's all that's happening with it.
Right. Another cool thing with the People Mover is that occasionally, sometimes, when Space Mountain is stopped or, stopped temporarily, or they had to shut it down for a short period of time, that the lights come on. And that's a glimpse that you can see inside of Space Mountain, and sometimes they run the cars just by themselves before they put people back on it again to reboot the system. You can see cars, go on it, which if you're not maybe a fan of Space Mountain, it'd be cool to see the track.
Absolutely.
I've actually not ridden it with the lights on, which I've always wanted to do. I think any diehard Disney has wanted to do that. So to be able to see the track with the lights on,
I think it'd be
is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's another thing that is kind of, quote, behind the scenes on an attraction that you can ride in the park.
Yeah. For how I view this matchup is People Mover it's a timeless ride. Anybody can do this ride. And it's going to be one of those rides that even if they update, you're going to always remember that ride. It's always going to have a place. Flight of Passage doesn't seem like a timeless ride. Maybe that's because the new movies hasn't come out yet, and they've only been working on the movies for 12 years. Not actually, but a long time.
Right.
So once they start releasing the movies, then it'll kind of bump up that ride, get me more excited, because now I have, more
history with a character that they might build into Flight of Passage or whatever.
Right, because they could always change the story, change the movie or something. So then it becomes timeless. But for me, it's like People Mover is always going to be there, but like Flight of Passage, its future to me is still very unknown. If that kind of makes sense. So for me, but I'm okay with still talking. People Mover wins for me.
Okay.
I talked myself into it.
Okay.
People Mover, but continue your thoughts.
Flight of Passage, yes, without any more movies right now, is kind of, I don't want to say lost, but no, I totally get what you're saying for that. But I think Disney is holding something in their back pocket for an expansion space for Avatar. I mean, they have to. There's no way, especially with what the wait times are now. Both attractions, looking at which one's the popular one, well, hands down, it's Flight of Passage.
Hands down.
There's no, 2-3 hour wait for the People Mover, when the park first opens.
Right. I completely understand that. I wonder, too, kind of to your point, is how they'll change People Mover once Tron opens. If they change it at all, if they just change the dialogue.
And not even really just for Tron overall, I think for Tomorrowland overall, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
With it, because it is an integral part to Tomorrowland. So, I think of course you're going to keep it, and, will I say it will only get better? Possibly.
Yeah, I mean,
there's only going to be, if there's more updates, and you can get on the People Mover and see those updates, and see the feel of Tomorrowland. I'm still torn. I mean, like I'm leaning more towards People Mover, but Flight of Passage, I just would hate to see go, because I know a lot of listeners would want to see Flight of Passage. I'm sure a lot of listeners, I feel like, have Flight of Passage just hands down winning it all, and I get that because it's a new ride, it's the bee's knees.
Yeah, For me, the People Mover wins, but if Flight of Passage were to win this match, I completely understand seeing it be the champion in some people's brackets. I can absolutely see it kind of going all the way. But I think just personally, maybe it's because I've only ride Flight of Passage twice. I don't know. But I'm sticking with my gut, and my gut is telling me People Mover.
I know. So is mine. I don't...
Is that your final official answer?
Let's do it.
People Mover?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's upset some people's brackets. That's crazy. So, Flight of Passage, where that came from, it's been kind of hard the whole time, really, because it started off in round 1 up against Frozen Ever After. So, again, round 1 goes out a good attraction, Frozen Ever After. Moved on up against in round 2, Rock and Roller Coaster. Another good thriller type attraction.
Yeah, absolutely. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that of all of the attractions, the People Mover would have beat, the Flight of Passage after beating 2 thrill rides, it being a thrill ride itself, and then like an attraction like the People Mover just come. It's just so, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because when you first do this bracket, you're like, oh, this one's probably going to win. And then once you start talking it out and actually thinking about it, it's interesting just to see how attractions just keep moving.
Right.
And how you really, once you start talking about it, you really find that passion for that attraction. So moving on to our last match of the left side in the third round, that was a lot, is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror and the American Adventure. Again, it's a very tough matchup. It is very close.
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
I am not sure. That's where I'm at. I'm very torn. Having seen kind of backstage of both is very, they add something. Seeing videos on the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror and how it moves, and then going to when we did the round trip tour, I don't know what it's called, Keys to the Kingdom?
Backstage Magic.
Is that what it is? Yeah, there's so many tours. We kind of saw it was a Tower of Terror like car, basically.
Right.
And there was like a technician there and explaining kind of how it worked and everything. And he was like repairing it. So it was very cool to see that, to see how big they actually were. But then also on that same tour, we saw the American Adventure and how that show actually works. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
For me, yeah, American Adventure, a lengthy show, though very, very intricately designed with the animatronics and the whole show scene. Twilight, for me, being scared of it for 14 years of my life.
I thought it was like 16, but that's fine.
And now I've gotten on it. It's definitely a must-do every time I go now to Hollywood Studios. And the whole ride vehicle itself. I thought I've always thought it was one of those drop rides that literally you got in a car or vehicle, you went up, it dropped you, you got off, and that was it. I necessarily didn't like that, but no, there's a whole story to it. And then not only is kind of the first part an elevator, spoiler alert, you go into the Twilight Zone before you, that was pretty accurate.
That is pretty good.
Before
I like that. They just emailed me, wanted me to come do a voiceover for that.
Or they emailed you for copyright.
Yeah.
And before you drop. So, for me, it's going to have to be thrill factor for this one.
So you're going Tower of Terror?
Yeah.
I think I'm going American Adventure.
Really?
Yeah, so whenever I think of the American Adventure, I always just think of the show, right? And then whenever I think of Tower of Terror, I always think of the possible layover that they could do. Because, they have Guardians of the Galaxy in Disneyland. You're always like, oh, that would be really cool if they did that here. Or like, oh, it wouldn't work. But there's always that thought. I've never thought of another show for American Adventure. I don't know of another show that could go there and do... It does, the purpose that it has to tell the American story and to show our past and just to, get me excited for the future of America. But then, Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, yeah, it's a thrill ride, but how many times have we been off air and we just had a conversation, be like, oh, what do you think about the Guardians of the Galaxy? Do you think it could go here? And just have that kind of conversation. To have the conversation of, I would like to see a layover of this ride, to me, that ride would lose. So that's why, for this particular matchup, I'm going American Adventure.
But before we went to California Adventure, we were kind of 50-50 on how Guardians of the Galaxy was going to work.
Absolutely.
We were like, no, there's no way that this could be good. It's an overlay of the attraction, but we like Tower of Terror, so how bad could it be? And then getting on it, and you're like, oh wow, it's the same exact ride, but even better, somehow even better. So for me, if I already like Tower of the Terror, Tower of the Terror, to like Guardians that much more, I do like Guardians a lot.
Right. So, but what you're saying is that there's an attraction, they did something with the attraction and made it better, so now you like the better one more.
Not necessarily.
But no. But that is what you're saying.
Right, but I like both of them before they were even Guardians. Right. So it's still, the same attraction. If you went to, let's say, where else do they have Tower of Terror? Tokyo or Hong Kong?
I don't know.
I think Tokyo.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Tokyo.
I have no idea.
If you go to the Tokyo one and you ride the Tower of Terror, they're not going to have American Adventure, but for me,
I don't know why that's funny.
I don't know either. Anyway, they're going. The Tower of Terror ride is a ride they have put in other parks for a reason. Not necessarily because it didn't work. It's because it didn't work in Disneyland.
No, but that's
at California
I
Adventure.
completely disagree. Look at Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. They put that in other parks. Look how well that's doing. Most of the parks are getting rid of it. So you can't say that they're putting this ride in other parks because it's so good, because we know that is not true. That was a good point.
No, but now
you don't know what to say. You don't know how to respond.
I'm all flustered.
You're flustered now.
No, but it's the same ride, and they can carry it over. Yes, okay, Buzz Lightyear. That's an instant, but you're not comparing apples to apples. You're comparing a thrill ride versus a shooter ride that has Buzz Lightyear.
No, I'm not comparing the actual rides. Your point
I would have compared it to Rock and Roller Coaster that they've put it in another park, and that didn't do well, and now they're shut down. Not that I'm feeding to my own point.
Whose side are you supporting?
Just saying, I'm arguing against the fact that you argue with me.
Okay, all right. Well, look at Rock and Roller Coaster. I don't know. I was trying to bring up the point again.
Yeah, no, well, you can't because I already brought that up.
I know. I was trying to make it seem like my point. Okay.
I shut you down. Not really.
My final answer, the American Adventure.
I'm sticking with Tower of Terror.
Okay, well, that means we go to our little cheat sheet. Maybe not do that again. All right.
I just recorded it, so it'll be the next one.
All right, so American Adventure comes at a total of 8 points. Averaging 8 points for the American Adventure. And the Tower of Terror is
6.
Bam, there it is.
There's no way.
So the American Adventure goes on.
There's no way.
Look at the point sheets. Talk it over. Get a recount. Go ahead, talk it over.
I demand a revote.
You voted on it.
That's true. I did. I don't know. I'm trying to find the American Adventure on here. Why can't I find?
It's the first one.
Yep. Because that one, for whatever reason, is in alphabetical order.
Yeah, the first column is.
So I'm just comparing them here. Rewritability, Twilight, I put a 3.
So the biggest difference, I think, is the family-oriented. Because Tower of Terror is not a family-oriented ride. No, you either like it or you don't.
Well, because it's scary.
Right. And not because it's scary. Yes, because it's scary. But because of that drop. Not a lot of people can do that drop. Because when, they say your stomach's in your chest, well, sometimes your stomach is outside your chest and you vomit. It's kind of gross.
Okay.
All right. But that's why it's not family-oriented. So I think that was kind of the biggest difference. That's kind of where it happened. So that was Well, that was an upset for you.
That's the point sheet, and that's how we roll. Moving on to the right side of the board, of the bracket board, Walt Disney's Carousel Progress up against Haunted Mansion.
I think you do that every time you read it, and it's like not that great. So maybe
the Haunted Mansion.
That just sounded like Dracula, and he's not even in that.
I do it every time. I think I do Dracula every time.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't. He would be there. He would be in the Haunted Mansion.
Maybe not, because it's not vampires. It's all a ghost, and like I see dead people.
Well, that's where he'd go and hang out.
All right, you got me there.
There's no blood. He gets real thirsty. Off Dracula. Back to the matchup. Haunted Mansion up against Carousel Progress. Pretty much both classic. Carousel Progress. Yes,
both iconic.
Both iconic. Yeah. There's not a lot of merchandise for Carousel Progress.
There's a lot of merchandise for Haunted Mansion.
There's tons of merchandise.
I feel like
so much so that when you exit Haunted Mansion, there's a gift shop now.
That's how they always get you.
Just not that it leads into the gift shop, but it's kind of across from. Oh my gosh, I can't think of that quick service right now. And it is
the Harbor Inn. I just made that up.
It is.
Oh, is it?
Isn't it? Isn't it?
It's something like that.
I think it is.
I don't think it's called
the Harbor House.
Harbor House. That's what it is.
But you were darn close.
Yeah, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yep. A lot of rich history, though, with Carousel Progress. It was in Disneyland, and then Disney World was nope.
Even before that, it was in the World's Fair.
Yeah, right. Yep. And then Disney World was like, nope, we want it. So then they took it.
And then Disneyland got rid of it to get for Launch Bay.
Yeah. Now it's just a hole.
Did they get rid of Launch Bay?
No, it's still there.
Okay, well, it's not a hole.
I know, but the space is a hole.
Filled with Launch Bay. Yeah, not just a gaping hole.
Yeah, but Launch Bay in itself is a hole.
You got me there.
I don't know. For me, even though I know Carousel Progress, yes, has a lot of rich Disney history, Haunted Mansion, for me, has that much more. You gotta take it off your headphones to do that.
It's very hot. I'm taking off my sweatshirt.
This is a nice podcast. Okay, keep it on. No, but for me, I think Haunted Mansion is going to move it on for me for this one. A lot of more history for me. Rewritability, even though Carousel Progress, I've said it 1,000 times, it has a lot of rich history. You ride it once. Yeah, you don't have to, it's not a ride, but you see it once, and you don't have to see it again in the same trip, unless again to get out of the heat.
Right, absolutely. Take a nap.
I feel like Magic Kingdom is a good park to
just get out of the heat.
To get out of the heat, to have a lot of shows in that run by themselves. Oddly enough, the Haunted Mansion moves on it for me. Yeah, what do you think?
I definitely agree with that, just because we're talking about what is the best ride in Disney World. And I feel like it's hard to be called the best ride when you're a temporary attraction. Because when they're not in busy season, the Carousel Progress goes into a seasonal attraction. Excuse me, that's what I meant. That it's only open during busy season. That it's not open all year round. Just because, probably to cut costs and all of that. So, for an attraction to be that, I feel like it can't be called the best attraction. And just kind of, I'm not going to re-say what you said, but basically what you said is why the Haunted Mansion moves on for me. Have
they update Carousel Progress in a unique way?
Completely different conversation.
Maybe.
Yeah. It depends on the upgrades that they would make.
Exactly. But yeah, maybe that could have gone differently.
Completely different conversation. So the Carousel Progress in its first round was up against the Frontier Shooting Arcade.
Never forget.
A lot of people do. A lot of people walk right by it. And then it went against Total Talk with Crush, where it crushed the competition. Maybe you just stick with the puns. Yeah, so again, if they had updated different conversation.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the next matchup, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad up against O Canada. Interesting. Even though I know I really like O Canada, as it's a show, again, for me, like Tower of Terror, that lost. For me, it's going to come down to thrill, a big thrill factor. Completely, Big Thunder Mountain, definitely a completely different ride during the day than it is at night. It's definitely a fast pass I look for every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely one of my first 3 fast passes. A must do, extra magic hours at night or anything.
Yeah, it's definitely a ride that you're going to do more than once on your trip. O Canada is a ride that you're probably only doing once on your trip.
If you remember it's there.
If you find it. So I will say that O Canada, love the song. I'll be driving to work and I'll kind of listen to that soundtrack. I'm not going to sing it, but
please don't.
Canada.
He did it. I said, don't do it. And he did it.
So it's definitely a good soundtrack. I think, it would be interesting to see if this was the Disneyland version of Big Thunder Railroad. Just because of all of the kind of updates that it's received. It would be almost one of those ones that's like definitely going to go up there, but it will be interesting to see how far it goes with it. But that matchup was very easy. It was still kind of a blowout with the matchup. So the O Canada in the first round was against Tomorrowland Speedway. So kind of glad that didn't go because that's really not that great. And then it went against the Mad Tea Party, which you almost vomited on. So glad you didn't. Yeah, so we'll just move right along to the next matchup. We have Slinky Dog Dash versus Spaceship Earth. Right, you want to kind of start this off?
Yeah, so Slinky Dog, I definitely like the roller coaster factor of it in a new land for Toy Story, which is, again, Toy Story Land is great, but it's definitely showing its age very, very quick. For me, it's almost like, do we do that? But, for Spaceship Earth, for me, it's definitely one we would always do. Even though it's not like we're always going to do Slinky Dog, but because you haven't been on Slinky Dog yet.
Yeah, I have not done it yet.
So, which will be an interesting factor talking about it on this matchup. I have done Slinky Dog Dash twice. Don't quote me on a third time. Maybe a third time.
Okay, but at least twice.
At least twice.
Okay.
Not that a third time makes it any different, I guess. But, at least twice. I had Slinky Dog and... Well, we're just talking about the attraction, even though Toy Story Land is a whole nother episode just talking about what went wrong with it and budget cuts and whatever else. But just Slinky Dog Dash by itself, yes, a family fun roller coaster. But again, it's going to come down to nostalgia for me for Spaceship Earth. I mean, it's that attraction, not in its current state, has been open since, Park Open. It used to just be you got in a vehicle, it went up and it came back down just because it all wasn't done on the inside yet.
I didn't know that. Fun facts you learn every day.
Fun facts you learn. But now it has an iconic attraction inside of an iconic, piece, not only for Epcot, but Walt Disney World, all the way around.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It definitely speaks volume.
Yeah, I think the word that you said that just kind of sticks out with the whole thing is nostalgia. I mean, it's a ride that if you go to Disney, you're definitely doing. I know Slinky Dog Dashes, you're also definitely doing. So that's not really the best point. But with like Slinky Dog Dash, there's not like an audio track that you listen to. They have audio like theme music, but Spaceship Earth has its own audio track, and you're gonna. Sometimes, personally, I'll listen to Spaceship Earth and I'll know exactly what scene I'm looking at. You know, I'll be going through the ride in my head, kind of humming the tune. To sum everything up that I'm saying is just nostalgia. And I think that is why Spaceship Earth for me would win this.
Yeah, no, I think for sure it's definitely going to win for me on this one, even though it's sad that Slinky Dog's going to fall behind here. But, you know, had we not, I guess, have known, or maybe the upkeep was better, would that have, you know, at least swayed my decision? Maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
especially for you, had you been on it, you know, maybe that would have been, you know, a deciding factor. But, you know, yeah, I keep on trying to talk myself into Slinky Dog a little bit.
But yeah, Spaceship Earth definitely. So
no, I know Spaceship Earth.
So the recap of Slinky Dog Dash for his first round, it went up against the Walt Disney World Railroad Main Street USA. That's a mouthful.
The railroad.
Yeah, just railroad. And then it went up against Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. So, yeah, good attraction. Definitely sad to see it go, even though I haven't ridden it yet. But, yeah. So, into our last matchup of round 3.
Yeah, so that last matchup is Toy Story Mania up against Journey into Imagination with Figment. I know.
I don't know. I think we both had that same thought. You're just like,
a lot of these in round 3 have been, you know, us looking at each other and like,
not knowing even where to start.
Right? Yeah, I know, because it's like, which one do we go with first? Because, you know, I think in this round, it's a lot of heavy hitters going up against each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like,
and it's one of them has to lose.
Right. It's like from round 3 to the end. A good attraction is going to lose every single round.
Right. At least an attraction we favor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's all a matter of which one. You know, Journey into Imagination with Figment, if we just talk about how the ride is current day right now, not a winner.
No, I do agree. I do agree with that statement.
With Toy Story Mania, you know, I think it speaks volume for a ride when they have to add more, you know, ride capability to it.
Adding a third track, right?
Adding a third track is just like, wait, what? Like, yeah, it's like Disney knew it was a good ride, and they were like, yep, we're going to add and invest into this ride.
And it's still a 60-minute wait.
Right, yeah. I'm going to say that out of the 3 attractions in Toy Story Land, Toy Story Mania, even though it has been a round, it's a winner. And
you still think it's like the main attraction out of them? Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, I agree. When it first opened, I mean, it was such a long wait that you only do Fast Pass. Now we still only do Fast Pass for it because it's just such a long wait. It's definitely worth the wait, but you know, if you can get a Fast Pass for it, you don't necessarily need to wait for it. I think both attractions are, you do them once in your trip, you're okay. You don't need to necessarily do them again. I mean, I definitely think that with Figment, that if you do it once, that's plenty. But with Toy Story Mania, if you get to it twice, awesome. If you don't, and you only get to it once, I think that's okay. But like, even still, if like Figment was closed for the time that we were there for refurbishment, it wouldn't be the saddest thing in the world. It would just be like, okay, we just don't get to do Figment this time. But if Toy Story Mania was down, you know, a couple years past when there was no attractions at Hollywood Studios, and Toy Story Mania was down, it was like,
why am I at Hollywood
Studios? Yeah. We're definitely not going to spend a full day there. Like, should we even go? I mean, now you can spend a full day, and then Star Wars opening be crazy.
Yeah, ridiculously busy. Coming soon.
But that being said, it's crazy that they would have to add another track to a ride just because it's so popular.
And yeah, it's cool because you can't do that to a roller coaster or, you know, one of these other more type stable attractions like Figment, or I'm trying to think of another ride like
Big Thunder Mountain. Like, you couldn't add another track to that.
With any of the roller coasters or any of like the Omnimover rides like Nemo or
Haunted Mansion. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Haunted Mansion or Ariel Under the Sea. you can't just add another track.
Yeah.
This was like they add another track and they did it seamlessly. And
pretty much seamlessly.
Yeah, I mean, you if you don't know that they added a third track, you would never necessarily know.
That's true.
But I think the draw out of Toy Story Land is still going to be the 2 new rides, Alien Swirling Saucer and Slinky Dog Dash, for it, which then makes Toy Story Mania kind of like the middle of them. So sometimes if you can catch it on a good wait, you can get a fast pass for it and then still wait a reasonably 30 to 45 minutes. And be okay. Rather than Slinky Dog Dash, it's either an hour or 3 hours. You know, kind of the same thing like, Flight of Passage. Because people rush to that immediately right away.
Mm-hmm. I think if this was the old Figment, the very first version of Figment, I think the nostalgia aspect would
still carry over.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think with all the updates it has, Figment himself is nostalgic, but the ride is not.
Absolutely.
Like the character itself is nostalgic, but
you said it perfectly.
Yeah. So for me, Toy Story Mania.
Yeah. I'm absolutely going to agree. I don't know why I grabbed the Journey. I was going to put Figment up. My mind wants Figment.
Right. No. I agree. I think the mind wants Figment, but in reality, I think it's just Toy Story Mania is just better than Figment.
Nope. Journey into Imagination with Figment is now a figment of my imagination.
That was not a good joke. It was pretty good. The first round for Figment, it went up against Star Wars Launch Bay, and that Launch Bay sadly did not go through because it's just so good.
It could have been up against anything in the first round, and Launch Bay would have lost. Most likely.
Yeah. And then it went up in the second round. That was loud. They probably didn't even hear it. Probably the listeners didn't hear it. They're like, what is he talking about? What's loud?
I just dropped a pencil.
The second round, it went up against the Barnstormer. So really, it had easy matchups. Yeah. It wasn't like a matchup that it kind of destroyed. So it kind of makes sense that it's losing to what it's losing to. Because this is its first, hard matchup. So we're kind of running a little bit long.
Yeah, a little bit long. So a kind of a small change to the upcoming episode. Basically, the quarterfinal, we're just going to catch it on in the next episode. So the next episode is going to be the quarterfinal, the semifinal, and the final, all in one wonderful jam-packed episode.
Yeah, that episode will probably run a little bit longer too.
Yeah. All of these, I think, have been running a little bit longer is because... we find an attraction we really care about.
You just start talking about it.
And you just start talking about it naturally.
Yeah, next thing you know, 10 minutes go by and you're like, gosh.
Oh, we still have 8 other matchups to talk about.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. And then you're caught in the middle and you're trying to hurry up. But then again, you don't want to, lessen any of these other attractions, and sometimes they're up against just a clear loser.
So we are down to our final, what is that, 8? Yeah, our final 8. Final 8 is Soaring Around the World, Splash Mountain, The People Mover, American Adventure, Haunted Mansion, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Space Mountain. Spaceship Earth, I cannot read. Space Mountain lost first round. And Toy Story Mania. We say it every episode. There is not a clear winner on the board. I think, especially with this final 8, every matchup could go one way or the other.
But if you look at it overall, it seems like nostalgia is kind of pushing it.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, that a thrill ride doesn't necessarily mean a great ride or the best ride.
And is that, not that I'm coming to some come to life moment here, but is that what Disney is to us? Is nostalgia. It's getting on the People Mover. It's getting on the same Splash Mountain that we have gotten on when we were 10.
Here's what I didn't want to let down to, and I say it every episode. It's that Disney does the Disneyfied to attractions. You can have a log flume. Right? Anybody can do a log flume. All you need is water and a track and a boat that goes up a hill, down the hill, and it splashes. Any amusement park can do that. But what Disney does, puts you in the story, creates a memorable soundtrack. Yeah, it's an IP, but to have an attraction that you start thinking about the attraction and you can run the whole attraction in your head with the music, all the characters, light, sound, everything. Even the smell, can take you back. I think that's what drives an attraction and makes an attraction great, is that it's memorable.
Yes, and then but to build on your point, yes, Disney can Disneyfy something, but going back to a matchup, which they did Disneyfy, Avatar Flight of Passage. You can't get on that experience anywhere else. Here, it lost. Why did it lose? Because it went up something nostalgic.
Yeah.
And we have memories with it. So I think it's the Disneyfied underneath, a layer of nostalgia kind of on top that builds that more emotional connection with an attraction, which is
it's interesting.
It's interesting part of the psyche,
because they say, or the quote is that like Magic Kingdom or Disney World is the happiest place on earth. It's the happiest place in your mind. These attractions bring up that happy feeling. They take all the stresses and worries from life. As soon as you walk into Disney, now we're getting deep. As soon as you walk into Disney World and get on an attraction that you remember, all your worries go away. You feel like a kid again. You're laughing with the people around you on the attraction, talking to the people.
It's all about the memories.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
and if you'd like to make more memories, you can reach out to me with Caption Vacations.
Shout out Ryan.
We can make you have some memories.
Yeah, that didn't sound great.
No.
That's not going to be a good ad. Come to Disney, we'll make you have memories. It's like a horror movie too.
We'll make you have wonderful memories, whether you like it or not.
And trust me, you're going to like it.
We're going to take your money. But it's worth it.
As a kid, the idea of Disney World better, but now it's like, oh God, I gotta pay for that.
We have to pay for that now. It's gonna cost
that's not
how much? Can we just sleep in our car?
We sleep in the camper now. You got
can.
a camper that you haven't used for 4 years.
That will definitely be a trip.
Been 4 years.
No, it's been like 3 months.
Yeah, maybe
4 months.
Yeah, I don't know, times a year. All right, let's close this out.
Well, anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review as it helps us improve the show. And as always, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook and also now Instagram. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.